in today's video, we're going to go over how to export all database table data from a SQL Server database. So this was actually a question that came in from a subscriber. It was posted to a website that I had originally started taking questions from, and I, I honestly stopped looking at it because most people were just posting their questions in the comments of the videos. And so I apologize for the tardiness of this answer, but I did happen to go out there and take a peek at the site and found this question. And I think it was sitting there from October 2022. So I'm a few months behind. But here we go. So the question was, how can I quickly export all the tables from a given database in SQL Server to tab-separated flat files, one TSV flat file for each table in the database without using SSIS, which is integration services, which is an ETL tool. So you have to actually do some programming in SSIS in order to export data. So the question here is focused on doing it in a sort of non-programmatic way or minimal programmatic way. Because you're going to have to do a little bit of scripting to accomplish this. I haven't found a way to do it just using Management Studio. You can export one file in Management Studio, but I haven't found a way to do it with all files. So what I'm going to do is go over two methods. Both of the methods are going to be based off of BCP, or the bulk copy utility of SQL Server. And we're going to generate these scripts using SQL. One method you'll be able to take it and use it in a DOS command window, and the other method you'll be able to run in PowerShell. Okay, so we're over in SQL Server now in Management Studio, and this is the actual format of the BCP command. So you're going to need to call BCP, which is the utility. You have to pass it a database name, a schema name, and a table name, and then you're designating that you're taking data out of the database. You have to give it a file path, and this is saying I want character ASCII output, and then you're going to give it your delimiter. In this case, it's the tab. So what we're trying to do is generate this for all tables in the database. So I've got my database context set here to this SSTS admin database. And so I'm going to run this query here to generate the commands that I need to run to BCP out all the data for all the tables in this database. So I'm calling BCP. I'm getting the database name for this. I'm getting the schema name for the table, separated by a period. And then I'm getting the name of the table. And then I'm going to say out. And then I'm going to say what's the file path that I'm taking the data out to. So I've got a directory here under my C directory named export. And I'm going to get the table's name. And that's going to be part of the output. And then I'm going to say I want character output. I want my tab delimiter. And then I have to pass in the server name, which this is just the laptop I've got SQL Server running on. And in this case, I'm using a trusted connection. So I'm using my Windows authentication to connect to the database and do this extract. So let's run the query. As you can see, it generates. So this database, if you go into the browser here and look at SSTS admin, these are all the tables. And you'll see here that each of the 9 tables has an entry in the output. So these are all individual commands that you would run in BCP in order to get your commands to run. And we're going to jump over into PowerShell in just a second here. All right, so now I'm jumping over to the command prompt. I've got a command prompt DOS command prompt window open here. And as you can see, I've got the C Windows export directory being displayed here, which is currently empty. I'm going to take the first one of those BCP commands. I'm going to paste it into my command window. So we're getting the disk volume capacity history table. And we're going to run the BCP. So it copies all the data out and it creates our file. We can take a peek at what it looks like. And there you go. You have a tab separated file with all of the data separated by tabs in the output. And so that's our first method for using just a DOS based BCP copy out. You could just copy and paste all of those commands for all the tables into a batch file and then run it, and it would run each one of those commands in turn. So that's BCP with a DOS command prompt. All right, now we're going to go over the PowerShell method. So I've got a script here that's going to generate and run the BCP command. So this is a little more slick in that you don't have to copy the commands out and run them separately. This will actually generate the commands and run them for you, which is a little more integrated and smooth, and generally a more preferred method if you're comfortable running PowerShell scripts. So what we've got here is we're specifying the server name, the database, username, and password. So these are just variables, and we're giving them the values. And then we've got our query that's going to go out and get the name of the tables along with the schema name from systables for every table in our database. And we're going to invoke that command to get the table name and the schema and put it into a variable. So this is tables is a variable that has, it's a two-dimensional array. So it's going to have the table name and the schema name for each row. And then it's going to have a row for every table in the database. And so we're just going to iterate over that result set and put it into a variable named table. And we're going to pull out the table's name and put it into a file name. And then we're going to get that table's name separately because we're going to need that for the BCP command along with the schema. And we're going to generate our command, which is going to be BCP, similar to just how we did for the DOS command prompt version. Get the database, our schema, we're going to specify the table name, we're going to tell it we're taking data out, we're going to give it the file name, we're going to tell it we want character data, and we want our delimiter to be a tab. We're going to give it the server, and in this case, I'm passing in the username and the password. So I just created a read-only user in my database, and I've got the username and password here, and then we're just going to invoke that command. And so let's jump over to PowerShell now, which is my other screen. And here's our PowerShell window, and we're going to take our script from our other window. We're going to copy all this out, and we're going to paste that into that window so we can run our script. So what it's doing now is it's jumping through. We're going to look back at the output a little bit, but it's going to each table and basically running the BCP command. And if we went over to our Explorer window, sorry, my screen's jumping around a little bit because I'm remoting into the other server. So you'll see here that we've got a file for each table in the database with the CSV. So we've basically run for all the tables. We don't need to iterate through them. If you remember with the command prompt version, we just ran for one table. So let's just look back, scroll back a little bit into the output here, because I was dumping out the commands that were being run as it was going through, iterating through each table in the result set. So the output varies. So you're getting basically a status output row for every 1,000 rows that BCP outputs. And some tables have more rows than others. That's it. So we've showed how to do BCP generation commands for DOS command prompt, and now we're looking at PowerShell. So you guys tell me which one you prefer. And that's it for today's video. I hope you guys liked it. Please like the video if you got something out of it. Consider subscribing to the channel. Dump your comments below and your questions below. And if there's something I think I can provide value on, hey, I'll create another video for you guys. Talk to you later. Thanks. Bye.